Hi, my name is Gage Malenzik, and I will be presenting hacking techniques and card protection.
The only cartoonish element of the increasingly sophisticated and complex methods of identity theft is how them in 2019 alone. When it comes to credit card fraud, nearly half of all Americans have experienced this, and 18% of them had it happen to them in 2019. Now, this trend has not gone unnoticed. In our 2020 digital privacy study, 71% of consumers that we surveyed said they were either concerned or very concerned about how protected their personal and financial information is or is not. Additionally, 14% of consumers said that they were planning to buy either identity theft protection or credit monitoring services in the next 12 months. Some of our key findings are that nearly 40% of Americans are just using their personal computer for their work. They're not using a business computer, and many of them are not using VPNs. In addition to that, we found that record numbers of Americans are ordering their food and groceries online, downloading new apps, and signing up for new services. But very few of them are actually following the recommended digital privacy guidelines, like using different passwords, using a VPN, disabling geolocation data, and really doing themselves a disservice when it comes to privacy.
Hello, my name is Gage Malenzik, and I will be talking about hacking techniques and card protection. First off, identity fraud is a serious problem and is continually growing. There were 444,602 cases of identity fraud in 2019, according to the prompt, and that number is continually growing. Identity fraud can be defined as wrongfully using another person's data or information. Identity theft is not only important for the customers and the consumers, but banks, service providers, and merchants as well. Being aware of hacking techniques is one of the most useful tools. The most common techniques of identity theft include data breaches, the dark web, unsecure web browsing, spam attacks, and malware. Data breaches typically happen with merchants, and there have been a few recently on name brand stores. Marshall's recently had 45 million credit cards numbers stolen, and Target also had 40 million credit cards stolen in the same year. Target has already spent over $61 million just trying to recover from the data breach, and that number is expected to increase. Just a year or two after that, Home Depot had 55 million credit cards stolen in a big data breach as well. In many cases, people might feel the customers are the ones ripped off, but it typically is the banks and service providers that have to cover the illegally spent money in data breaches. The PCI DSS standard is very important when choosing a credit card provider service. Members of the PCI DSS are Visa, MasterCard, American Express, JCB, and Discover. These service providers are all held to a high level of standard of not only recovering identity theft, but preventing it from happening in the first place. It is very smart to choose one of these providers because identity fraud is only becoming worse. Additionally, making sure you are staying on secure web browsing sites is very important. There are actually settings on your computers and phones that will not allow you to open these websites. I strongly recommend you enable those settings. As well, spam attacks have been leveling off the past few years, but still happens when you least expect it. Spam attacks happen from using malware that will eventually crash your computer. If it does not crash your computer entirely, it'll make it very slow and almost impossible to use. As of lately, being aware of these hacking techniques can be the most valuable information so you can become aware. It is understandable that identity fraud is becoming more common as millions of people are choosing banks and sending money digitally more now than we ever have in the past. Overall, I believe that choosing a good service provider, making sure your settings are set correctly on your phones and computers, and being aware of all the data hacking techniques out there is what you can do to best prevent yourself from card protection. Lastly, I would say we have so much information at our fingertips that we should just use it to double check our websites and settings. Thank you very much.